It's episode 24 of the Improv London podcast with this week's guest, Faye Brann.
This ain't gonna be easy.
Somebody moving around.
Welcome to episode 24. I had a great time talking to Faye. We talked about the improv scene in Dubai, the use of props in improv, and theatre sports in London. Faye Brann, welcome to the Improv London podcast.
Why, thank you. It's an honour to be here.
Well, no, I'm very glad that you're here. I'm very glad that you're here. I'm very excited to talk to you. I'm not the most professional interviewer, as I think you're slowly learning. But anyway, it's not about me, it's about you.
Okay.
So it's 45 minutes. You, all about you.
Me.
We want to learn about you.
Okay.
And some schools of improv feel that at the start of the scene you should establish the who, what and where.
Right.
Not everybody. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm just saying some schools like to do it.
Okay.
So we should probably paint a picture for the listeners.
Of who, what and where.
And what and where.
Okay. I, as an improviser, let's not go through the whole of my life.
Oh, because that was half my post-it note.
Was the rest of my life. So I arrived back in London. We'll just do this in reverse order because it's easier. So I arrived back in London last summer, having spent 9 years living in Dubai.
Wow.
And I had a fairly checkered time over there. I moved over there with my husband for his job, so I went over there jobless and friendless,
right.
and childless, and we were, I think, we'd been married about 6 weeks at the time, and 9 years later we came home with, the entire contents of a house and a 6-year-old, and I had an improv career which I didn't have when I first went over there. So I arrived in London in July last year, and I'd been doing a lot of improv in Dubai, which feel free to ask me about that.
Yes.
And I will go on. But anyway, I basically was starving for attention by about September. And
that's all improv is. Please,
I just
pay me
needed
attention.
somebody to applaud me.
Validate me. All I seek is validation.
Yeah, exactly. And so I started doing a few classes here and there. And I did a couple of workshops with Hoopla and Maydays, and actually that's where I did a John Cremer workshop.
Oh yeah.
And bumped into Steve Rowe there, and he messaged me afterwards and was like, "Oh, you're Faye from Dubai." I'm like, "Yes, I am." My reputation apparently precedes me.
Wow.
And he said, "Oh, are you thinking about getting a team together at all?" And so I was really excited because I thought, "Oh my God, he's going to ask me to be on a team." Or something. I'm like, how exciting from one workshop! That's awesome. And then the email read, "Because if you'd like to, then I'm happy to support you in finding some people." So I was like, "Okay, no, that's cool, that's fine." And in the meantime, I'd signed up to do a Monkey Toast course, which I also did, and so met a few people on that. And then it got so kind of towards Christmas, and I was like, "Actually, do you know what? I think I do want to do my own thing." And I'd done a lot of Keith Johnston formats in Dubai, and so I decided that would be the way to go.
Wow.
So yes, and I'm happy to talk at length about any of the above. But that is the what,
yes.
I guess. Who I don't know, it's just some sort of middle-aged housewife who got bored and needed applause.
Enough about you. What about me?
Yeah.
Oh, that one came out wrong. I said that wrong. Can we do that again?
Yeah,
Enough about me. What about you? Oh. Never mind.
It's going well.
It's going well. Carry on.
Yeah.
You're doing much better than I am. And I had a sleep.
And I've done the where. I've done it.
Yes.
There we are. Who, what, where.
That's it. Brilliant.
There we are.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Here.
Here we are.
In a pub.
In a pub in Epsom.
In Epsom.
If anyone wants to come on the podcast,
London
you get
Improv podcast
you get priority
in Epsom.
if you're going to come to my local pub. Yes. So, there's loads of things to talk about there.
Yeah, it's probably half of your post-it note, I should imagine. Or at least maybe 3/4 of it even.
Yes, it is, actually. Yes, most of
there
it. Not everyone gets a post-it note of research, so, you know.
I'm honoured.
Let's talk about Faye of Dubai.
Faye of Dubai.
That was so renowned that Steve Rowe... I mean, he's a plugged-in guy. I mean, he does know a lot about improv, perhaps more than anyone. But still, Dubai is a long way away.
It is a long way away.
What's the improv scene like in Dubai?
Well, the improv scene in Dubai was completely and utterly non-existent. Much like the theatre scene in Dubai or the art scene in Dubai or anything in Dubai that wasn't shopping for quite a long time. But when my son turned 1, which was in 2007, I was going a little bit crazy and needed to get out of the house and do something. And I stumbled across an acting course. And I'd done a lot of musical theatre in the past, but I hadn't done any straight acting. And it was just a 6-week-long, they call it the Desert Monologues, and it was just a 6-week-long thing run by somebody. And he's now like my really good friend, run by this random person.
You have the accuracy of Jacqueline Black when it comes to facts and people.
Okay, it was run by my very good friend and artistic director of the Courtyard Playhouse in Dubai, Kemsley Dickinson.
Thank you very much.
And it's just a 6-week-long course where you do like various exercises, and a lot of it is actually improv exercises and team building and that kind of thing. And then at the end of the course, during the course, you learn a monologue, and then you deliver the monologue at the end to an audience. And so that was sort of the first time I've been out on stage for about 7 years, and I was like, I just loved it. I absolutely loved it.
Brilliant.
And so I just wanted to do more. So then, like, Kemsley's, this course was basically the only game in town, and then he decided he was going to put a play on, which I was then in, and it was a beautiful play called Almost Maine, which is just a series of vignettes of all set in the same place, and it's a place where you can see the northern lights, somewhere in Alaska, very North America anyway, and you can see the northern lights, and it's just quite a magical play, and it's just about relationships basically, and so I played a part in that. And when that was over, we were all, sitting around afterwards, as you do after you've done a production and you've been rehearsing and like all part of a team. We were just sitting there. We were like, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
And we were in the pub, and I just said to Kemsley, like, can't we just get together and do some of those, like that game stuff that we did for the monologues course? And he went, what, you mean like just making stuff up? So I was like, well, yeah. And so he said, yeah, okay, yeah, we could do that. So we got together in his... Hello, bird.
That's the first time we've ever been
called
by a bird.
You can tell we're not in London anymore.
You'll get your own episode later on. Stop gate crashing this one.
Quiet. It's probably not been picked up on the microphone at all. Everyone's like, what? So anyway, we met up once a week in Kemsley's living room, armed with a few books, Impro for Storytellers, and
that's the Keith Johnson one.
The Keith Johnson one, and the one from the other lot. The name escapes me.
Truth in Comedy?
That's the one. Truth in Comedy.
The other lot.
The other lot.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean, and I want to explore that a little bit later on.
Yeah, we can explore that actually, because I don't mean that in actual fact, but I just couldn't remember the name, and it was the easiest point of reference to just go like.
Yeah, but I knew who you meant when
exactly.
You said the other one.
So we just used to meet up, and we used to try stuff out of their books, and I think it was about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 weeks in, we decided it would be fun to try a Harold.
Sorry, the only reason I laugh
7 weeks in with a book.
I love that.
Like, yeah.
That actually is a more common story than you might think. We've had 2 or 3 people on this podcast that have gone, oh yeah, we'll give that a try.
Did that.
That's going to be easy out of a book.
And yeah, but we just kept experimenting and just kept trying different things and playing games and doing some short form, and then we looked at ASCATs and some other bits and pieces, and then Kems turned up one night and said, "Oh, we've got a gig," and we were like, "What? We've got a gig. It's the Image Literature Festival." We were like, "Oh, so nothing snorming." Like, fine. And so I think we'd probably been together 6 or 7 months by that point in time. And I mean, you know, we were self-taught. We weren't doing too badly, but you know, we were self-taught. Yeah. So anyway, we did this gig, and then we got another gig, so we did that as well. And then we got another gig after that, so we did that one too.
Was there much competition?
And, no, because we're the only improv team in town, right? So nobody knew any better anyway.
Was there a name for the group?
There were so many names.
Tell us some
I
of the
think
names.
we started with Dearly Deported. That was the first one, and then and we operated as Dearly. Well, no, first of all, we were... So when we first started, the group just got bigger and bigger because everybody heard about it and everybody wanted in. So Fridays got to be this massive jam in Kemsley's living room, which is Dubai, so the living room, in fairness, was sizable. Yeah. Church hall size. Yeah. But then we started a splinter group on a Tuesday. And
so did you choose the people that you liked most out of the bigger group to be in the splinter group?
Pretty much.
That's all right then. That's what I'd have done.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, definitely, in fact. But it also happened to be the older set of people. It just happened that way. So anyway, we called ourselves... and then, oh God, what happened? We ended up being called Too Old for Tuesdays, but I can't remember what. Like, I think we moved again to Mondays or something. Anyway, so Too Old for Tuesdays. Then we were Dearly Deported, which was like the team that actually went out and did some stuff. And then Kems was a drama teacher at the time, and he sort of turned up one day and said, "I've jacked my job in, and we've rented a warehouse in Al Quoz, which is an industrial area in Dubai, and we're going to turn it into a theatre.
Wow.
And come take a look." And it was an absolute shithole.
Oh no.
It was just this empty space with yellow walls and wires hanging out the ceiling and no aircon. So in Dubai, that's an issue.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Okay, you're going to turn us into a theatre." And he was like, "Yeah, no, it's going to be great." And the place where it was at was called the Courtyard. So he said it's going to be called the Courtyard Playhouse, and you're going to be the Courtyard Players, like you're going to be the house team, and this is what we're going to do. And so they started renovating, and within about, I don't know, 2-3 months, something like that, the whole thing had been ripped out, and we started out with, you know, black floor, black walls, like black box. And then they got some seats in, and it ended up, we crowdfunded as well, and did lots of video promotions and everything else. And it is now the most stunning. Yeah. And this is, so I think it's 2 years after its official opening, so I think they've owned it for 3 years outright. And it's now the most beautiful studio theatre you could possibly imagine. It's 70-seater. Full stage, which is this is not very descriptive. It's like twice as big as that concrete area. So it's about 3 times the size of the Miller stage, something like that. Wow. With doors, windows, little mouse holes that you can crawl through. The backstage area is full with props and toys to play with. Full lighting, sound rig, and it's dedicated to improv and comedy. Right. And so once we were allowed audience in, because the place wouldn't catch fire or they wouldn't go through the raised seating or anything like that, we then started doing weekly shows. And I think somewhere around that point we discovered theatre sports.
Right, excellent.
And we were like, well, we've got this theatre now, so let's play.
Yeah.
And it just really suited everyone. For whatever reason, it just seemed to click with everybody, and so I think actually, theatre sports was sort of the opening night of the theatre.
Right.
And our team won, and it was awesome.
Right. So this brings me to my main concern about theatre sports.
Go on.
But I approach this from a complete position of ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
so I accept that. I don't like sport.
Okay.
So would you like to explain how theatre sports work?
Sure. So, theatre sports, I should just say, like from then on in, I'm just going to finish off my little
Go for
story
it.
about Dubai.
Yes, of course.
So we did some theatre sports, and then we did a bit of maestro as well. And in the meantime, we then appeared on the radar for the International Theatre Sports Institute, the ITI. And
Because you were doing their format without having asked
No,
permission?
we had permission and everything, but then they started to send over some people, obviously,
right.
to coach us and everything else. So
Cool.
we had a lovely guy called Jeff Dolan coming over from Australia, who did a lot of work with us, but then Patty Styles came over
Cool.
and worked with us, and she's been over a couple of times, and then most recently Sean Kinley came over as well, and in between they've had other teachers coming over, so it's gone from being a group of us who all liked each other in Kemsley's living room to this beautiful theatre with international teachers coming in to train, workshop. Sean's just done 2 months there as a artistic director in residence.
Wow.
So that to go right back, because I am capable of doing this. Short form people do have memory, like as well. Although my cast might argue with that. Anyway, to go right back to the beginning, the reason why Steve had heard of me.
Nice.
Thank you. I nearly forgot what I was going to say then as well.
Good, that's good.
The reason why Steve had heard of me is because Kemsley has been over every summer to see shows, meet people, talk to people who are running their own things
Right.
here as well. So that he's taking back, like every year, he's taking back knowledge back to Dubai and saying, like, this is how or not how I want to do things and everything else. And he had met Steve.
Hooray.
And said, I think he'd messaged him or something and said, like, my team captain is deserting us and coming over to London. So that is
right.
why I was Faye from Dubai.
Fair enough. No, I thought there was going to be a lot more of a... That's a lovely reason. I thought it was going to be a lot more of a terrible reason.
Well, there may be reasons as well. That's the official line,
the official reason.
and I'm sticking
That's
to it.
what we're going with on the record.
That's it. So, yes. So there we go. So that was the answer to the first question.
Brilliant.
Theatre sports. Okay. So to an audience, in a nutshell, theatre sports is teams of improvisers challenging each other to scenes and games. It's had a lot of bad press, I think, and some people tend to think it's a little bit old-fashioned, a little bit old hat. Johnstonian improv, short-form improv is not in vogue in London at the moment. I don't think
this.
particularly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it tends to be thought of as the inferior to the long form.
I love short form. I love long form as well, but I love short form.
What?
And do you know what? When I see, it's just joyful, and I'd be quite happy to watch it. If I'm watching 4 acts on and they're all long form, and by the end of it, I mean, I love improv and I love most of the people in the improv scene, but by the end of it, you think, oh, God's sake.
There is something, I mean, I've tried both. I really have tried both, and I've tried hard with long form, but there is something magical about being able to create something in 2 or 3 minutes.
Yes.
And it fail or succeed or whatever, but then you just go, done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But it's now over, and now I'm going to go do something else.
Yes.
And I just think that there's something wonderful about doing that and being able to create that, and it's just such a lovely energy. And I think it can be I was just about to say maybe it's not as deep and meaningful as long form, but I'm going to correct myself and say I think it can be just as beautiful and deep and meaningful and truthful as anything that long form can put out there. It's condensed. So if it's not somebody else's cup of tea, they've only got to sit through it for 2 minutes, and then it's over, and then they can move on to the next thing.
I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah. So yeah, but the audience, they come to watch teams of improvisers competing against each other, but that's not really what they get. What they get is this beautiful collaboration, because when you first start playing theatre sports, it's all about winning, right? And I'm horribly competitive. And so this has taken a long while if Kemsley's listening to this, he'll be like, she's still competitive. She's so competitive. But it's taken me a long while to appreciate why winning it doesn't matter.
Right.
But I do appreciate it now. And I have been recently in shows in Dubai and here, where I honestly I don't care. I actually don't care who wins. And that's the objective, really, of all of it, is the audience shouldn't care who wins either. They should be entertained by this variety of stuff and see two teams who, yes, are outwardly challenging each other, but that also are supporting each other on stage.
Yeah.
So they're scene painting for each other. They are jumping into a scene when it needs help.
Yes.
They are giving a challenge that the other team will shine at.
Yes.
You know, and when I talk to my teams, just before the show now, I'm saying, like, get together in your matches. So not your teams, but the two teams that are playing against each other, and talk about your goals, like what you want to achieve out of this match. Do you want a monologue to come out of it? Do you want a serious scene to come out of it? Do you want to make sure that you play at least a couple of games, and what will those games look like? They're your goals for the match.
Yeah.
So between you, make it happen.
Yes.
Like, make those happen. And so it's not competitive, even though that's what the audience sees.
Yes.
It really isn't competitive. And I've been really lucky in the fact that I've managed to amass this just beautiful team of improvisers who are all on that page. Like, and they leave, and I mean, we're all improvisers, we've all got enormous egos, because there's just no way that you can say, oh yes, well, what I do for fun or for a living is walk on stage and make stuff up and expect people to applaud
Yes.
it.
I don't even bother learning other people's scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever I come up with is
Exactly,
better.
is good enough, is better, yeah. So, but you know, I was very clear when I started doing the casting for it, and I was like, you leave your ego at the door, because this is a team effort, and sometimes you won't even be cast. Sometimes you'll be working the scenography, we call them the snoggers, or you might be on the lighting desk as a lighting improviser, or you might be doing the scores. Because there's so many moving parts of this show,
Yeah.
you're not always going to be on stage for it.
Yes.
So you have to park your, but I'm more important than everybody else, thing at the door,
Yes.
or don't do it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like crystal clear about that from the start, and as a result, just have this lovely group of people who just...
How many people? Because I don't.
Hundreds.
Here's a little tip. Here's a little tip for podcasts. Never start naming people unless you're confident of naming all the people in a class or a group. You've got hundreds now. Was this a deliberate choice? Because you mentioned that you had a big group in Dubai.
Yeah. So to run a theatre sports night, it's 2 hours of improv, and it's 3 matches. So if you say roughly that you need 3 people on a team, then you're talking 18 people.
Oh, right.
Before you've even got out of the game.
Right, yes.
Because then you need a host, and you need somebody to do the scores, and you need a couple of people working with the props and the scenography, and there's judges to think about. And so, yes, I added it up actually before I came out. I have a team of 30 people.
Wow.
I think, in fairness, when Steve first suggested, "Are you thinking of getting a team together?" 30 people wasn't really what either of us had in mind.
I'm going to get a team together, and it's going to be the
I'm
biggest
going
in
to
all of
form an
London.
empire.
It will all be mine. I will all be my precious.
So yeah, I didn't really necessarily think that all the way through, but anyway, there are 30 people now, and a lot of them are on other teams, and so they're not always available every month, which is the other reason for having a bigger group of people than I need, is so that we can make allowances for availability. But yeah, and they're all, Steve is actually on the team. I've got another few incredibly experienced improvisers, far more experienced than I am with my meagre 3 years of stage time. And I've got people who are it's their first team.
Wow.
But the beauty of the format is that we play 3 matches in the night. So the first match is made a mixture of people that have had stage time, are on teams, and also people that haven't had that much stage time. And the beauty of theatre sports is that it's a really easy format for people that are starting out, because you have 3 judges who they don't just score the scenes, they actually they direct them as well.
All right.
So the judges sit there, and if a scene is not working, then they can say fall in love, or cut to the hospital, or do any of those things, or I'd like you to come forward and explain why you feel in this particular way. So it's wonderful because it's so safe.
Yes.
And as a beginner improviser, not beginner, but beginner performer, if you like, to be able to have almost like a workshop environment where somebody's saying like come forward or stay or whatever. It's just this great safe place where they can just grow in confidence and grow in experience, and then they get to watch the next 2 matches where the more experienced players are playing, and be part of that and watch what's going on as well. And I think you learn so much by watching as well as doing improv.
Yes.
But yeah, so I just think it's just this fantastic format, really.
Yes. And you use real props?
We use real props.
Whoa, mind blown. What's going on there?
So
Format.
I have this most enormous suitcase, which is getting bigger by the show, actually. I've got the expander out now. I can barely carry it on the tube. But yes, I made the mistake of taking it along to rehearsals, like the first time it came out.
So this isn't a theatre sports thing, this is a Faye thing?
No, it's a theatre sports thing. So what you're looking for in theatre sports is variety. What Keith says, to quote Keith, is what the audience doesn't want to see is soup followed by soup followed by soup. So you have to be aware of what's going on through the show and what the shape of the show is, and you have to do that as a player and as a judge and director and everything else. So that each challenge that you're offering and each scene that you're doing is different from what's gone before.
Right, yes.
So that means you're looking at comedy versus a truthful scene,
right?
Straight scene, if you will.
Yeah.
If you will, you're looking at a speed of a scene, fast-paced, slow-paced, silent. You're looking at the length of scene, so it could be a one-liner or it could be 5 minutes long if it's a really, there's music involved.
Wow.
You can have music involved.
Wow.
Song. You can do a fast-paced, ridiculous challenge. One of my all-time favourites in Dubai was being challenged to do a scene while we ate a box of salt and vinegar, like a pack of salt and vinegar Pringles. And the team who challenged, because whichever team challenges goes first.
Right.
So they opened up their Pringles box and handed them all out to the audience and just did the scene while the audience ate the Pringles.
Right.
So for variety, we couldn't do that again. So we were like, well, we're just going to have to eat them. So there were 3 of us, and we sat and ate salt and vinegar Pringles, and we were like, mouth dry, gonna, explode from Pringles. I haven't actually eaten a Pringle since then. Our mouths went numb for 2 days afterwards. It was hideous. But you'll get silly challenges like that. You might get lip sync battles, or so there's a bit of silly as well as as well as the serious. But as I say, the object of it is to provide that variety, and within that comes the props, because they help create worlds,
right,
and give a little bit of theatre to the whole thing.
Yes.
And it's called theatre sports.
Yes.
And so yes, it's a very different departure, and I think I've sort of grown up with it in my improv career. So I don't find props, I like props,
yes,
but they're just props.
Yes.
But when I open the suitcase at rehearsal, there were like 25 children in the room.
We've
just
never had
like,
these things to play with before.
Oh, these props! Look how exciting they are! And look, there's a hat! And just super excited. But it is just so joyous. And I actually have now, I don't take them to rehearsals anymore.
Okay.
I save them for the show.
Brilliant.
Because they're so excited. Although the first show, I've got this bone, plastic bone, that's about 2 feet long, and that appeared in almost every scene. So I've actually had to confiscate the bone. You can't have the bone anymore. It's just appearing really randomly. But the beauty with props and set and everything is, and I was saying to them, you put 2 chairs together and stick a blanket over the top. It's a sofa.
Yes.
We've got candles that light, the electric candles that light up that you can use.
Wow.
We've got aprons and the bone.
Yeah.
And various hats and jackets and it's just, it's something that's still underutilised because honestly people aren't used to having them.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
And but it's just nice occasionally. We had a lovely one in the last show where we'd asked for the scenographers to inspire the scene, and they put a photograph frame down, and one of the girls, Sophia, came forward and did a monologue, and it was about her marriage breaking down, and she had the picture, now the photo frame. Now the photo frame has got a terrible photo from the 1980s or something in it of a husband and wife. But it was just, and so she was referring to it and said, I don't have my awful perm anymore or whatever. But it was just really a really touching thing, and it would have been okay without the photo frame, but there was just something lovely about her holding this photo frame and doing this monologue about her marriage breaking down. It was beautiful. So I think they add.
Yeah.
And they can add a lot of fun as well.
I'm persuaded. I'm on board. I want props now.
Props in everything. Yeah.
So you also have, is it scenery? Do you have sets?
No, we stick to, there just isn't room at the Miller.
No.
With, already 6 people effectively on stage on 2 teams.
Sorry, I don't know what this wild fantasy of you had trapdoors and all sorts of things.
We built a trapdoor on the stage of the Miller.
There's lots of room.
Well, that would be quite useful. We'll go straight to the bar.
You mentioned scenographers. That's not a term I've heard before.
The scenographers, they are basically in charge of the props table.
Right.
And we call them the snoggers, and again this is like an element of theatre, of the official theatre sports, and a lot of people when they get given the job of snogger are like, oh, great, I'm on props. But it's interesting, Sean Kinley made a career out of being a snogger at Loose Moose. That was and really explored it, because you can make an offer for the same way as you can make an offer on stage.
Yes.
And you're always watching the action, so if at any point in time they're referring to something, or you can set a scene up, so if the lights go down, you may have seen it in a hotel or something, and the lights go down, there is nothing to stop a sonographer coming on and placing an object which they would like to see in the scene out there.
Wow. Yeah,
And then by the time the lights come up, I mean, it's great for the improvisers as well, because the lights come up and there's something random on the stage and it's like, okay, well, my idea is just not going to happen, so I'm going to throw that away and
Brilliant.
I'm going to go with what's on the stage there. So it really sort of helps with the spontaneity of everything as well.
That sounds great.
And so there's some lovely, and the same goes with the lighting and the sound as well. There's nothing stopping the lighting or sound imp from throwing anything out there, really.
Yes, well, that's something I've been exploring recently, and I've been very much enjoying that. Just kind of, and it's improvising, and you're contributing to the show, but it's in a different way. And you know, I'm only limited by my ignorance. So if anyone wants to show me around how to use the desk properly,
how to use the desk,
and the miller.
Yeah, no, we're in the midst of training a few of our improvisers up so they can do it.
Been watching YouTube videos. Not actually the miller one.
Of the miller.
Not the miller. That would be amazing. And
I'll record Tom for you next time
that
on
would be
Saturday,
good.
and
Yes,
then
that would be
send
good.
it
If
to
you
you.
could, that would be very handy. Thank you very much.
But yeah, no, it's just it's a show. It's proper theatre,
Yes.
and it's got lots of moving parts, and we're still a work in progress with it. I think it's fair to say, because we're on show 3 this weekend. But everybody's working really hard, and they're sort of all feverishly reading Keith's books, and like
Which
really
I think is
committed
brilliant.
to doing it, which is great. Because I mean, when we started, I just said, you know, I am not going to be teaching you improv, because half of you have got more experience than I have, but I have done theatre sports.
Yes.
But so that is what I can teach you, and that's what I can share with you, and you're just going to have to put up with my improvisational skills.
But I think it's brilliant, and the more diversity there is in the improv scene, I think the better. And you know, if everything was theatre sports, you know, then I'd say we need more. But equally, you know, it's
I mean,
just
you have
great.
to be quite careful with it, because it's actually like one of the key things is creating longevity for a show like this. Because once the audience get used to the format, then it's like, well, am I just going to be seeing the same thing every month, but just dished up in a slightly different way? So that's really where the whole thing about variety comes in, and trying to push that truth, in the hope that the audience do come back, because they get to see something they don't get to see in other short form. So that would be the key. We'll see what the audiences are like this time next year. See if I've succeeded or not.
And you've been theming each of the nights.
We have been.
Is that a theatre sports thing, or is that a Faye
No,
thing?
that's a I stole it from Dubai, the idea from Dubai thing. It's purely a marketing. It has absolutely nothing to do with the show. And actually, we're just about to do the Game of Thrones one, and everybody's gotten. We've got so many Game of Thrones geeks in the cast. Everyone got so overexcited about it. I actually had to say to them at rehearsal on Saturday, like, there will be no Game of Thrones scenes at all in this show. Like, you can dress up, you can call yourselves the Night's Watch or whatever you want to do, but if I see a Game of Thrones reference in a scene, you will be scored at 0. I don't even have a 0 card. No, you will be scored 0. Because the whole point of the themes really is it's a hook.
Yes, that's a brilliant hook.
And it shouldn't detract from, like, people are coming to watch the improv.
Yes.
They're not coming to watch you play fancy dress.
No.
So I did it. I themed it. I mean, our first show was just before Valentine's Day, so we just thought, we'll do that. And then, what did we do last time? Superheroes. That's right.
Because I'd love to have seen improv journeyman Mark Tyndall as Lex Luthor.
As Lex Luthor, yes. Yes. He's much enjoying hosting, is Mark.
He's got plenty of experience with Duck, Duck, Goose, but normally he doesn't get to be a criminal mastermind.
I think
knowledge,
he's had his costume made this time. This is what I mean. This is how overboard everybody's going. Like, he's been to Austin and he had his costume made for him while he was there. It's like, oh my God.
That's really exciting, though. I mean, not specifically Game of Thrones, but just.
No, everyone gets really excited about it, and and it's nice because they all sort of get together in their teams and they're all like, what music shall we come on to? And it's just quite nice. So I don't know. I think we've got our next one is Game of Thrones. We've got one in 2 weeks' time after that, which is a bit of a brain ache, which is going to be Eurovision.
Right.
And then after that, I don't have a theme for the June one, and I'm actually thinking about doing it like, you know,
Whoa.
stripping it back, man.
Because that's
Just
like
doing theatre
that's
sports.
what Keith would have wanted.
That's what Keith would have wanted. Yes, he's not dead yet, but like
yeah,
that's
sorry,
what Keith
Keith
would like.
It's what he'd like.
Yeah, let's not bury him quite yet.
Sorry, Keith.
In case you're listening, Keith.
Because that's adding variety. Just
Yeah.
as you would within the show, you're adding variety within it.
So I'm actually thinking about like
Sorry,
just.
Keith.
Does he listen?
I don't think so.
Oh,
He's
God,
probably
I
got
hope
better
not.
things to do.
He's probably killed himself listening to this by now.
No,
Like,
but
who
it's-
is that woman and why has she got my format?
Because
yeah.
you've got it licensed. You had to apply. Didn't
That's
you?
right.
That's
Yeah.
why you've got it.
Well, yeah.
Somebody in his
the ITI
organisation.
go exactly. No,
Yeah.
I've got a provisional license.
Oh, provisional,
at the moment,
really?
yes. I have a year of provisional
And
license.
they can take it away if you.
They can take my toy away if I don't behave, if I don't play nicely.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would you have to do wrong for them to take
I
it
think
away?
just bastardise the format, basically.
Oh.
And it's interesting. Theatre sports is the format that Keith is the most disappointed with. out
Oh,
of all of
really?
them. Yeah. Because so many people decide to take the show as it should be played and then say, yeah, you know what, we'll take the judges away. Like,
Right.
we'll let the audience judge.
Right.
Or that there's what we politely term the rescue horn, which is a way of the judges getting off a scene that isn't going quite according to plan.
Right.
And it's a bicycle horn,
Right.
literally, so they can honk you off, haul
Right.
you off. And Keith calls it the warning for boring, so that that's why you have to leave your ego at the door. But that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the horn. But yeah, some people have got rid of the horn because their players don't like it, and so slowly but surely
It stops being theatre sports.
it stops being theatre sports and
Yeah.
it turns into something else. And when I applied for the format, I mean, Patty taught me the format, and she's on the board for the ITI, and so I messaged her and begged her nicely to let me play. But I did say, you know, on my application, I was like, I firmly believe in the format. In Dubai, we played it true to format,
Yeah.
and I've seen it work, and I believe in it
Yeah.
as a format. And so I've got no intention, none at all, of taking away the things that make it
Yeah.
what it is, because it's if you play it true, it works.
Yes.
It really, really works, and it's lovely. So I had to apply for this, and in a year they will just make sure that I'm
Yeah.
doing it right,
Brilliant.
and been in contact with them, and it's a great community actually. The ITI is lovely. They have a newsletter come out every month, and which I've been interviewed for. I think I'm in next month as well. And it's a very international community, but they're just lovely. Like, people from time to time will just literally drop me a line and say, "How's it going?"
Oh, wow.
And
That's
so
really
so
nice.
it's really lovely because you've not just
Yeah.
got support from the London
Yeah.
scene,
Yeah.
but you've got support from around the world as well,
Wow.
which is just
Yeah.
really, it just leaves you with a warm, fuzzy feeling.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Why do you think people think that short form is lesser form?
I think literally because it's short, and I think as well a lot of people, I mean, and theatre sports has suffered from this quite a lot. People think it's just games,
Right.
and it's not just games. In fact, we try and avoid playing games. Games are there to provide the variety, or maybe lift the energy of the show. If the energy started to, slide a little bit, we've had a couple of difficult scenes or whatever. Games work. Games are like safe, easy things to do. So if you just throw in a game, it brings everybody back. Which again, on a 2-hour show, that's short form, so it's scene after scene after scene after scene. Like, sometimes you need to throw something in like that just to give everybody a bit of a breather from watching another open scene.
Yes.
So I think I don't know why it's gone that way, but I don't believe in it. So that's all that matters.
That's
really.
all that matters. Yes, that is all that matters. So you mentioned so in the theatre sports format. So will one team say, right, I want the next...
You haven't been, have you?
No, I haven't been, no.
You should get down there.
That'd be good. It sounds very good. It's very popular.
It is very popular.
Also, I'm playing the naive interviewer for all the other people that haven't been there.
Okay.
But you're right, I haven't.
The format is, you get your 2 team captains, walk to the centre, and basically it's like, we, the aardvarks, challenge you, the beer monsters, to the best scene in a hotel. Or the best love scene. Or
the best love scene in a hotel.
Or the best love scene in a hotel. Well, no, you would never do that.
Oh, why not?
And I'll come to that in a minute.
Oh, okay.
So then you would take best love scene, okay? And then the other team would say, we accept your challenge. And lights dim a little bit, and then the challenging team do their scene first.
Right.
Because they knew what they were going to challenge.
Yes.
So they're at least mentally one step forward from the team that have just got the challenge. So they do theirs, and then the judges score them out of 5, and then the lights dim again, and the second team will come on, and they will do their version of that challenge.
Right.
Trying to create something different to what went before them.
Yeah.
So the challenging team normally have the advantage because they get to do the obvious thing first.
Right, yeah.
And then, so quite often, if you're the next team, you'll be like, what are we going to do?
Yes.
What are we going to do? I don't know what we're going to do. Like, anything lights up and away you go.
They gave all the Pringles to the audience, now we've got to eat the Pringles. Yeah,
exactly. So I think we've had a challenge before which was a truthful scene, or scene with truth, something like that. And the first team played a very beautiful scene, very touching. All the audience were like, "Oh," like that, which is just the best reaction you can ever get from an audience, I think. Anyway, I love it.
Definitely, yes.
But anyway, me and my partner was standing there, and we were like, "What are we? I don't know what we're going to do." And then, as our lights went up, I was like, "It's okay, I've got it." And I asked the audience for a true historical moment, which they chose Napoleon. I don't know why everybody chooses Napoleon. It's like pineapple.
Yes.
Napoleon.
Winston Churchill.
Which I know nothing about Napoleon anyway, apart from he was short, but that's about it. But anyway, so we then did a very light-hearted scene, which had no truth in it at all. But I'd asked the audience for the truth.
Right.
So that,
okay. Yes.
We had upheld our challenge.
Yes.
In a not very truthful, we cheated basically. But anyway, so what was your question you asked me?
Why would you not have a challenge going, I challenge you to do the best love scene in a hotel?
Because you get the same scene twice.
Oh.
If you did love scene in a hotel,
yes,
similar things would happen in both scenes.
Ah.
It limits your variety a little bit.
Oh, right.
Because you've got to have a love scene,
yes,
and it's in a hotel.
Right, yes.
So a love scene can be anywhere.
Yes.
A hotel could have a love scene in it,
yes,
or it could be 2 work colleagues, or it could be one person cleaning on their own. There's loads of different things. So always with the challenges, you always have to look at giving as broad a challenge as possible, so that the number of different things. I've done a Jacqueline. A number of different alternatives there are as bit like everything's as broad as possible, basically, for everybody to play with.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. Yes.
So yes, my team at this point, if any of them are listening, I'm really going, God, she goes on. This is what I do in rehearsals. I'm like, variety, no variety.
Well, that's the joy of the podcast format, is that you can talk at length, and
People will have turned off by now.
No, I don't think so. I think Well, I mean, I don't know, obviously, but I presume that once they've started, they're going to stick with it. And also with podcasts, you can do the washing up while you're listening to it.
That's true.
You know, I mean, I feel very guilty about watching television and film very quickly. But listening to podcasts feels very virtuous because I can also get the washing up done.
I've actually, not to sound like I'm a total suck-up or anything, but I actually I listen to the podcast sometimes while I'm doing my rehearsal planning.
Oh, wow.
Because people say stuff on your podcast, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then that leads me to another thought and another thought and another thought, and then it gets written down and regurgitated as my own idea.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'm really, really pleased about that because, you know, I can't take any of the credit for these ideas.
So I do listen to the end.
Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, I hope that more of my guests are inspiring other people. It was all right, and I wish I hadn't said that now. It was a lovely thing you said, and I've just gone and ruined it. I feel really embarrassed. Okay, so
Post-it notes.
yeah, I was just referring to my notes then, which in the audio format, if we hadn't pointed out, no one would have known about them.
Sorry.
That's all right. No, it's just the magic. I mean, I don't want people to think I'm magic or anything, or remember things. It's mainly just listening and repeating things back. Okay, so you mentioned Maestro.
Yes, Maestro is another Johnston format, which I also love playing. Just back history again. Spontaneity Shop had the licences for all of this, and used to do Maestros and theatre sports. So I think the last one in London was done in 2011. So when I first started on this adventure, I met with Tom. I was like, is it all right if I nick your format from you? And he was like, yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. We don't use it. And so they were very, very generous about it. But Maestro is just a bit of a...
Sorry, I'm going to sneeze.
Oh, it's this fresh air. This fresh countryside air is making me sneeze.
So I'm not going to sneeze now. That's weird.
Oh,
sorry.
Strange. Have some flowers. There's some flowers there. Just breathe in.
Sorry.
Oh my God, he's gone.
I'm going to blow my nose. I don't really want to do that on the phone.
Should we pause?
No, I think it's verite. Let's keep this in.
So,
I'm really sorry.
Maestro.
Really
I'm the one with flu. What do you want to know about Maestro?
I just...
or is it just like you like the word? Or like, no.
No, I just...
Maestro's just another format, and it's another really fun one actually to play. It's about 10 or 12 players. But instead of being in teams like a theatre sports match, it's individual.
Right.
So you all have numbers, and your numbers are in a bucket.
All right.
And two directors sit out the front and pull numbers out of a bucket. So the directors might decide they would like 4 people up on stage. So they literally like number 1, number 4, number 7, number 10. And you scoot on stage, and then they see who they've got, and they say, okay, we'd like to see 4 people instantly tells me I would like to see a hoedown from those people. Or,
which all improvisers love. There's nothing more improvisers love to hear than we'd love a hoedown.
We'd like a hoedown now, thank you. Or you might just call out 2 people and say, we'd like a scene in a park. In fact, Jeff Dolan, who was the ITI rep for Australia and Asia, I think, we call it the Jeff, because he just literally sits there and goes, you're in a park, like that. And that's all you get from him. Whereas some directors will be like, we'd like to see a scene where you're doing this or doing something else. And like Jeff's like, you're in a park. That's it. That's all you've got. So you do these scenes, and then actually the audience score you for that.
Right,
so they applaud.
Yes.
And so the whoever's scoring will say, was it a 1, was it a 2, was it a 3, was it a 4, was it a 5? And the audience will clap according to what they think you should be scored. And then you, as the individual improviser, will collect your score for that scene.
Oh, right.
And so obviously you get pulled out with different players each time. So your scores start to change over time.
Yes.
Because your first scene you might score a 4 with somebody, and then they'll be in another scene where they score a 4, but you'll score a 3 in your next scene because you're with somebody else.
Yes.
And so it's an elimination process. So by the second half of the show, you're down to like maybe 6 improvisers, and then you'll get down to the last 3 or 2, and then the winner will be the maestro for the night.
Wow, that's
and they
amazing.
win something completely inconsequential,
Yes.
like, you know, a £1 coin or something framed, and they're the maestro for the night. But it's really nice because you can play it with completely inexperienced people or really experienced people, and you can have this whole variety, and quite often it's not fair because even if you're experienced and you're good, if you're on stage with somebody and who you haven't played with before, or they're really new at what they're doing, like, your job is to make them look good, right? You know, that's your job. But sometimes it works, and they ride on your success for like the whole show, and then they end up in the final. And how did they end up there? But other times, of course, you get scored low because you haven't done your job properly, and or it just didn't work for whatever reason, and so you get kicked off early. So you get, but the audience come back week after week for this because they get quite possessive over their improvisers.
Oh, really?
And they end up, you know, where they're like, that was not fair that you got off before the interval. Like, that was so good, because that scene, you know, you should, and they cheer you, and they're like, you know, if you get kicked off early, they're like, oh, and you can hear them in the audience.
Wow.
So that's, it's
I'd
another
love to see
format
that. I'd love to see
that's
that.
an interesting one to maybe explore at some point in time.
Cool.
So, at the moment, the theatre sports is a big enough beast.
Yes.
At the present time, I can't. It's almost a full-time job, interestingly. Which, given how much money it doesn't make, is tragic.
Well, nobody got into improv for the money.
Apparently not. Apparently not.
Okay, big question.
Yes.
Big final question. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'll give you a sort of a multiple choice of question, which you can answer either of the questions.
Oh,
or
okay.
both. Okay.
Okay.
So, either thinking of yourself or thinking of the improv scene in London in general, what would you like the future to hold?
Oh, God. What? And I have to choose one or the
Well,
other?
you can answer both. It's just... What?
Wow. Well, I'm still getting to know the London improv scene. So, what do I want it to hold in the future? Well, me, mainly. Because I'm only just sort of getting my foot through the door.
Thereby neatly answering both parts of the question.
There we go. But no, to sum up, I think, do you know what? It's been a wonderful experience to come into it new and be completely welcomed and be able to set this thing up, because I couldn't have done it without all the people that are on my team, and so I just want it to continue to be this place where everyone can work together and not go off in their little factions of like, we trained there, or we did this, or we do that, or something else, but actually to remember that we've all got this common goal. And I just hope that I can be a little bit of a part of that, because I've got so many people on my team. They do come from everywhere. So that's what I hope for it, really, that I can continue to influence that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
That
Thanks
was
for asking me.
That's all right. That's really interesting.
I made this.
That's improv!